Good evening, friends. I am Professor Jaju, and I am standing here with a great, you know, pleasure in my heart that I have got a chance to introduce Anupam, who is a very dear friend of mine. I have known Anupam for about 7-8 years, very closely, in his capacity as CEO for iCreate, CEO of iCreate. iCreate is an institute for entrepreneurial development, which is done extremely well. And of course, it was, then Chief Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi's initiative, and he was the first CEO of that. Of course, now he has stepped down, and somebody else has come actually. Anyway, so. I have seen him very closely and closely working on this EV technology for developing entrepreneurs who will contribute to this space, making them grow. And I just heard from him, a couple of companies are now, few hundred millions worth in just about 3-4 years. The one that has happened over there actually, like the Charge Zone. Charge Zone. Charge Zone is a company nurtured and built under his leadership in iCreate actually. Second thing is the field is very exciting, and many of us have this question, should I buy it now? Should I wait? What's happening in this technology? All kinds of questions are in mind. Government is also, of course, forcing us to move from old vehicles. 15 years के बाद तो registration होता ही नहीं almost now. Move to new vehicles now, and new vehicles also, is the time ripe enough to buy electric vehicle now or not? Is a common question a lot of people ask actually, and therefore we thought that there is nobody better than Anupam who can enlighten us on the technology map as a whole, what's happening globally, and what's happening in India, where we stand, and we as customers, what we should be doing. So that is one component he'll address. Other is the field has opened up, green field has come up for tremendous entrepreneurship in the EV space. So many people now can think of setting up some businesses around this technology, and of course he will articulate more on that. About his credentials, he has more than 30 years experience in various roles in multiple sectors: telecom, sustainable energy. In fact, he had a company himself, he was an entrepreneur himself, and it was in sustainable energy. From there we had pulled him over here, and of course in EV, and a lot of experience in technology business incubation actually, creating technology businesses actually. What I would like to do is read out for you exactly where is he in this space. He has spent the last 3 years deeply embedded in the electric vehicle ecosystem. Given the current global movement towards geopolitically diverse supply chains and India's own strategic goal to increase indigenous manufacturing in this EV space, Anupam has conceptualized an EV powertrain without the use of rare earth elements. ये भी बहुत debate होता है, this technology uses some earth elements which are very rare, and should we do it or not? So he has conceptualized EV powertrain without the use of rare earth elements. This helps create an alternative to use the rare elements like neodymium, 80% of the global supply of which comes from China. As the CEO of iCreate, he architected a collaboration between one of the Israel's finest innovative companies in the space with one of the India's largest auto component manufacturer to jointly create this technology and to commercialize it. This has opened up global $2 billion opportunity. He is graduate from Purdue University, and prior to that he had studied at Lucknow University. He is also the member of PM's CEO roundtable between India and Israel. There's a India-Israel collaboration on technology incubation He is part of that CEO roundtable and a trusted partner with the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum. I'm personally looking forward to this talk, and with a bouquet, I want to welcome you for this talk. So Anupam, stage is yours. We're all very anxious about what we're going to hear actually.
It's an honor when a modest person like Professor Jaju gets to introduce me. He forgot to mention that he's the person who recruited me and got me into iCreate and has been a mentor to me all these years. So deeply honored, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me, sir. Thank you so much for AMA to have me here. I just wanted to add one more small line to what Professor Jaju said. I work with tech innovation and I work with strategy. And I have over the years found a definition of strategy that suits me personally, which is deciding what not to do. बहुत सारे options होते हैं हम लोग के सामने, बहुत सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं. So deciding what not to do. So as the talk progresses, what I was hoping was that we could make it collaborative. There's no point in one person standing and speaking unless you ask and I answer. And then everybody goes away with some meaningful insights. This is a very, very vast field. Electric vehicles, climate change. इसमें तो कई दिन बोल सकते हैं और हमें बोलने का शौक है. So, but we have about 60 minutes, 55 minutes. So we'll give 3-4 logical breakpoints in the middle and we will take just 4 questions. क्योंकि एक टॉपिक खत्म हो रहा है, अगर दिमाग में कोई क्वेश्चन आए, just 4 questions. If after the first break we find that there are too many questions coming, too much disruption, then we will have the questions only at the end. Is that fine with everybody? Okay, thanks. Also, a very quick poll on what this audience constitutes of. There will be people from academia, there will be people from industry, there will be people from business. तो थोड़ा सा इंडस्ट्री से कौन लोग होंगे जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग या इंडस्ट्री से ताल्लुक रखते हैं? Okay, startups, yeah, sure, absolutely, startups, mother of them all. And academia? Okay, and the rest are from business and work. Okay, great. So accordingly, I'll pace myself. All right, here goes. There is a lot of excitement and confusion regarding electric vehicles. As Jaju Saab said, to buy or not to buy is one of the first questions that come to mind. And also, from a business point of view, to get into this field as a business or not to get into this field as a business. The excitement is not because consumers are eager to buy electric vehicles. Perhaps the excitement is because the industry is reinventing itself. We've all heard of and seen with our own eyes the Kodak moment, right? In a short 24 months, film cameras, film processing centers, labs, they literally vanished in 24 months flat. Now, digital cameras took almost 15 years to mature. You may or may not remember your earliest phone camera had 0.3 megapixels, 0.3. And now we can't even count the number of megapixels a camera has. And my dear friend Vijay has one, 64 megapixels, God knows, 16 cameras. So what happened to that industry? Major disruption. The automobile industry itself went through one similar disruption, not the automobile industry essentially, but earlier the motive power, prime motive power was steam. Steam engine the. Steam engines changed, diesel came in. Today the electric vehicle industry is very closely, very parallel to the automobile industry of 1990s. 1900s, 1905, 1910. 200 300 मैन्युफैक्चरर्स थे, खूब सारी गाड़ियाँ थी, खूब सारे वेरिएंट्स थे, कोई स्पोर्ट्स कार बना रहा था, कोई क्रूज़र बना रहा था, कोई फैमिली कार बना रहा था. Then gradually consolidation happened, sophistication increased, and now handful of manufacturers exist across the globe. When we had Fiat and Ambassador, our very best friend, our dearest friend was Kallu Mistri. Once a week, we were sitting at the workshop getting our car repaired. But with the advancement of automobile technology, today once in 15,000 kilometers we take the car for repairs. That maturation is happening but 10 times faster in the EV space. Every single year, not only does the quality and reliability of these vehicles increase, but also their range and their features and facilities. So, as a business person, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to get into an industry which is literally exploding. Before I move further, because I had more a business orientation than a user orientation, although I have a lot of user slides which we'll come to later. How many of us are actually thinking or toying with the idea of buying an EV now? Woo, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, so watch out for a slide, 2 slides, which talk exactly to you. They'll come slightly later in the presentation. Before we get into EVs, I think it's very, very wise to take a step back and look at the mother of EV. This is what drove EVs to become mainstream. अभी तेल नहीं खत्म होने वाला है. At the most conservative estimates, we have enough oil to last at least another 100 years. 100 years is a long time. Nobody plans. हमारे यहाँ तो 3 महीने के plans बनते हैं. Long term plans are 6-month plans. तो 100 साल अभी तेल चलेगा. So why this rush for EVs? Climate change. It was in 1990s when the Vice President of US, Al Gore, came up with his famous movie on highlighting climate change. And after that, and even before that, every year the world leaders meet. COP27, COP27 just took place. So 27 साल से हम लोग मिल रहे हैं, बात कर रहे हैं. 3 साल पहले एक छोटी सी लड़की को गुस्सा आ गया, ग्रेटा थूनबर्ग ऑफ स्वीडन, और उसने कहा आप लोग बात ही करते चले जा रहे हैं, काम भी करेंगे या बात करते रहेंगे. So now the ostrich period of burying our head in the sand is clearly over. And things are moving on climate change front, which we don't see. We don't see, but the rules of the business world are changing. The way money is flowing to businesses, the way penalties are being attracted by business, and the way incentives are being given to business are completely changing the dynamics of business. Forget EVs. You might be making textiles, you might be making steels, you might be making pharma. If you are exporting to Europe and US, you're going to be hit with border adjustment tax, which will ask you to prove what have you done for climate change. So therefore, this is no longer something that we can, push off the table and say, अच्छा देखी जाएगी यार, अभी काम करो, अभी पैसा कमाओ. इसके बिना पैसा नहीं कमा पाएंगे. Here is a 15-second clip from NASA. It starts at 1880. It shows the temperature movement of the globe. The important thing is that this is an average between 1950 to 1980 global temperatures का average लेके उसको zero माना. Then it moves pretty rapidly, and have a look. Now we are at the turn of the century, 2020s, and 1950, 1960, and notice what happens after 1970. अब आप देखिए, the blues are suppressed, the browns, the reds are increasing, and this is today. Even former President Trump cannot argue with this, because this is data. This is not somebody's wishful thinking. And he's a climate change denier of the highest order. So even he's got to agree with this. So with this, we come to the topic why we are all here. Across the world, they are seen as a quick and substantial way to reduce the impact of climate change. Governments, investors, and increasingly consumers are all seeing the opportunity, because as human beings, we all, thank you so much, sir, thanks. We all want to do something good for the environment, for the earth, but समझ में नहीं आता क्या करें. So if this is something that will help, we definitely want to do. And now investors have started to reward companies that are beginning to clean up their act. How has the growth of EVs taken place? हम सबको सेंस है कि अब EV में एक्साइटमेंट हो रहा है. So here is a small graph that shows कितनी रैपिडली हुआ. 2010 से लेके 2020 में कहाँ से कहाँ तक पहुँच गई. That is the rapid. This is a global map. These are countries. China. Two things are mentioned here. This is a battery electric vehicle, which is a normal electric vehicle. This is a plug-in hybrid, which is like the advanced hybrids which have a battery and a motor. And we have China, Europe, US, and others. And you see the staggeringly fast pace of growth. This is only for cars, mostly. India, surprisingly, has a very high installed base of electric vehicles, but mostly three-wheelers. A study of Deloitte on why people buy EVs. We don't have the luxury of time, otherwise I would have loved to do a small survey of all the people who raise their hands कि आप लोग क्यों सोच रहे हैं खरीदना. But here is what Deloitte found out, and we've got India very much there. The first reason why we want to buy in India is concern about climate change and reduction in emissions. This is an actual survey done, and roughly about 400-500 people were surveyed. India, 331 people were surveyed. And the second is better driving experience. And sir was just narrating his first drive in a Tata car, and I could see the excitement on his face. And I was just reading a blog post of the Toyota chairman, Mr. Toyoda, who handed over the reins to his second in command to lead the company forward. And they shot a video on the baton changing hands with Mr. Toyoda driving his first EV. And he was shouting like a child when he saw कि कितना मजा आता है EV चलाने में. But people are also worried about EVs. खरीदें नहीं खरीदें. What are we really worried about? It varies country to country. And in India, the worry is lack of public charging infrastructure. And the second largest worry you'll see is safety concerns with battery technology. That was because of all the bad quality cells and batteries that were assembled. कई बार हम लोग जल्दी में cost low रखने में we cut corners, and regulation had not fallen into place. But today, thankfully, regulation has also geared up and people have also understood. And somewhere down the list is also driving range, but for China, driving range is the maximum. For others. So clearly for us, batteries, range, and lack of charging is one of the biggest concerns. Price, surprisingly, does not worry us so much. Very, very interesting. Cost for India is probably the third or fourth in the list of priorities. So therefore, we feel that because of the FAME subsidies, vehicles are affordable. We probably don't have to worry about the cost too much. Hopefully, by the time the subsidies taper off, the prices will also come down. So a car is a car, a two-wheeler is a two-wheeler, same price का मिले तो बहुत अच्छा है. Understanding this, the government of India acted in 2019, in 2021. It mandated first that every petrol pump has to have either CNG or biofuels or electric vehicle charging. And so now you've started seeing electric chargers coming up. It also mandated that in every large parking space, which has more than 100 parking slots, 5 slots, at least 5% of the capacity, must be electric vehicles. So in any mall, in any hospital, in any office complex, this is mandated by law. What law mandates in 3-4 years starts to happen anyways. आज प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि चार्जर लगा देते हैं, but sometimes the business viability for the charger may not be there. So a small amount of investment is needed. Sir, आगे आ जाइए, इधर सीट खाली होगी यहाँ पे. Thanks. So, as the business model for chargers becomes clearer, more and more chargers will get set up. ये अंडा और मुर्गी का खेल है. गाड़ी ज़्यादा बढ़ेंगी, chargers ज़्यादा बढ़ेंगे. But as Professor Jaju said in his introduction, one of iCreate's incubated companies has become a $100 million company, Charge Zone. What they have done is, apart from putting chargers on the BRT in Ahmedabad, all electric buses are charged on their chargers. Bombay to Ahmedabad, Bombay to Pune, Delhi to Jaipur, Delhi to a couple of Chandigarh, all of these highways they've already put chargers on. So should you take an EV and drive from Ahmedabad to Bombay, you will meet Charge Zone charging stations. They've partnered with Mahindra, they've partnered with Peugeot, they've partnered with a lot of other companies, and they're installing more and more chargers. And they're not alone. They're now rated as probably the second best charger company in the country. There are 6 top companies और सब पागलों की तरह लगा रही हैं chargers. So दिखते दिखते समय लगता है. Remember CNG? When CNG came in, it took 10 years for CNG stations to stop having long queues. But in EVs, it's not going to be that bad. It's going to be much faster. Have a look at the scale of this opportunity only in chargers. Only in chargers. We need 20 lakh charging stations in the next 6-7 years. And it's going to call for 1 lakh crore of investment. And it's a very nice business. The scale of everything in EV is in lakhs and lakhs of crores. There's nothing small about this because it's a new industry starting off. It's not a new product. It's not just a product. It's a whole industry, as we'll see as we go on. For Indian industry, what does this mean as an opportunity in numbers? इसको ट्रांसलेट करिए रुपए करोड़ में. Somebody take a guess? 8 lakh crore. 8 lakh crore. तो इस 8 लाख करोड़ की अपॉर्चुनिटी से कौन पैसे कमाएगा? तो here is 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, and the projected growth that we are going to see basis on what has happened in the past. So today 2-wheelers are 2% of all 2-wheelers sold. EV 2-wheelers are 2%. And they will grow to close to 40% in the next 7 years. 3-wheelers are already at 4-wheelers, they'll also grow close to 40%. 4-wheelers are less, and clearly we see that 1%, and they'll grow close to 15%. Various reasons for that. Light commercial vehicles, buses, and heavy commercial vehicles, trucks. And we see that buses already we have a 4% installed base. Again, FAME subsidy, and the fact that 8 rupees per kilometer is the saving when you run an electric bus. If you replace a diesel bus with an electric bus, you save 8 rupees per kilometer. It's such a powerful argument that people say, all right, it's a capital investment, and India is very good with capital investments. लगा दीजिए 30-40 लाख रुपए और 8 rupees per kilometer, खूब किलोमीटर चलाइए, खूब पैसे बचाइए. And that's why electric buses are suddenly catching on. Here, I'd like to talk about some of the technologies that will drive this to happen. One of them everybody knows about, renewable energy. Why is renewable energy connected to EVs? Because it helps you green manufacturing, green aluminum, green steel, and it gives inputs for charging electric vehicles. As I'll show later, electric vehicles are supposed to be clean, but are they really clean? Are they really good for the environment today? It's a big debate, but I'll answer it very clearly with data, with facts. and it surprises everybody when they see the facts. The other important one is green manufacturing practices. Use of renewable energy to power your complete factory. The use of micro factories. The mega factories that make trucks and cars are being replaced by ultra small micro factories. Intensive use of robotics. Industrial IoT, manufacturing 4.0, all aimed at also reducing energy use and increasing efficiency. You remember I talked about climate change as being the mother of electric vehicles. When we start exporting outside the country, we are actually asked to quantify what have we done for climate change. So if we have reduced energy, if we have used renewable energy, then we get plus marks and we don't get taxed. But if we are using coal-based energy, if we are burning a lot of energy in inefficient motors, inefficient processes, then we will have to pay an extra tax when we export. So it's no longer an option, and this industry is forcing us to modernize. And that's the beauty, that's the power of this industry. Energy storage. Advanced chemistry batteries, lithium ion तो lithium नहीं है तो उसके बाद क्या होगा, सोडियम आयन आएगी, फ्यूल सेल्स हाइड्रोजन से चलेंगे, अमोनिया से चलेंगे, मेथनॉल से चलेंगे, सुपर कैपेसिटर्स का रोल बहुत अहम है, pumped hydroelectric storage, compressed air storage, stored solar heat, all of these are technologies which will help drive the electric vehicle chain, and each of these are very massive opportunities in themselves. Again, when an industry starts off, new things which never existed before have to come into existence, and it's people like you and me who have to bring them into existence. We have to bring them into existence. Energy efficient parts that go inside an electric vehicle. Better motors, smarter motor controllers, better battery management systems, vehicle control units, regenerative braking. All of these things are coming into play. They are forcing more and more high tech to come into automobile industry. And India is very good with high tech. India is very good with hardware. India is very good with software. So for once, this is an industry which is playing on our pitches. ये test match हमारी pitch पे खेला जा रहा है. And that is the opportunity that we will become a knowledge worker in this industry. Earlier paradigm was कि plant industry import कर लो, technology transfer ले लो और production शुरू कर दो. But this time we are creating our own knowledge, we are creating our own technology. And that is why we will be a force to reckon with in this industry. रिसाइकलिंग एंड रीयूज़ जो कि बहुत सालों से चिंता चल रही है, इस इंडस्ट्री में अनिवार्य है बिकॉज लिथियम इज़ वेरी लिमिटेड, कोबाल्ट इज़ लिमिटेड, एंड सो देयरफॉर रिकवरी ऑफ दैट फ्रॉम द वेस्ट. सो देयरफॉर ऑल ऑफ दीज इंडस्ट्रीज, यू रिमेंबर ड्यूरिंग द .com बूम, तो कॉटन का शर्ट बनाने की एक कंपनी उसने कह दिया cotton.com और उसका शेयर प्राइस एकदम से कूद गया. So now people coming up with IPOs in जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं बंगार का धंधा, कबाड़ी वाले का धंधा, in recycling, and they are getting over subscription of 20-30 times. All they have to say is we also recycle lithium, which they don't. It's a very complex technology, but इतनी आसानी से चीजें हो रही हैं. Which are the kind of players who will make money in this 8 lakh crores which is on offer? So Bain and Company did a study, and they said there are 6-7 type of people. On the horizontal axis is the amount of money they'll make out of the 100 billion on offer. Oops, sorry. And on the vertical axis is 4-wheeler, 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler commercial में उसका क्या share होगा. As you can see, between 4-wheeler and 2-wheeler, it's an equal fight. They're roughly equal except in 1 or 2 things. As you can also see, the lion's share of the money will be made by the people who make the vehicles, the OEMs, original equipment manufacturer, the Ather, the Ola, the Tata, the BYD. They will make most of the money. But People who make batteries and cells will make 13%. Auto components and software related auto components will make a lot of money. Other components, motors, chassis will make money. Charging, battery swapping, and connected mobility, they'll all make money. Now, these are new industries which did not exist earlier. All of these are going to be making significant money. And by significant, we mean tens and 50,000 crore, 10,000 crore variety. And what does the profitability look like? Again, no guesses. Bulk of the profitability goes to OEM, but अब बैटरी से देखिए वर्ड बदल गया, सेल पे आ गया. सो अ बैटरी इज अ कलेक्शन ऑफ सेल्स. तो हम लोग की कार की भी जो लेड एसिड बैटरी होती है उसमें 6 सेल होते हैं, और 2-2 वोल्ट के 6 सेल, 12 वोल्ट की बैटरी. लिथियम आयन में हजारों सेल जोड़ के फिर एक बैटरी बनती है. बैटरी मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम्स, इलेक्ट्रिकल सिस्टम्स, अदर कंपोनेंट्स. सो दिस गिव्स यू एन आइडिया that there is across there is a very big value chain. There are many technologies, many products, and much scope for new entrants to come in and make money. And not only make money, but make the ecosystem diverse. आज global supply chain की problems के बारे में we've all been reading that because of COVID lockdown, because China shut down, because there was this war, so people want to diversify supply chains. So most of the supply chains were coming from China. Now they're saying, let's move to Vietnam, let's move to Thailand. But Vietnam and Thailand have small capacities. Who has a bigger capacity? India has. Can we work with India? So now there's a serious attempt कि भाई India से भी काम करके देख लेते हैं. So अगर हम लोग, if we step up, that's a huge opportunity to be taken up. As the previous slide shows, that 30-40% of the margins will be made by people who make the vehicles. But 60-70% of the margins will be made by people who make the components that go into the EVs. Don't forget that. That's something that in our quest for EVs, we keep thinking of EV as a vehicle. And I'll quickly show you that EV is not really a vehicle, but it's a collection of so many things. And most of the things are playing to India's strengths. हमारी पिच पे टेस्ट मैच खेला जा रहा है. Before we go into the vehicle, I'll pause for a minute, and I hope I haven't been going too fast. Is it okay? Any quick questions come to mind? We can take 1 or 2 questions, then we'll go inside a vehicle. Yes. जी. Okay. So first level of connection is, where is your charging station? So charging stations have all started coming onto apps. Your vehicle is beaming its position, your vehicle is talking to charging stations in the vicinity, and charging station is telling you कितनी देर में slot खाली होगा और कितना charge available है. So you don't have to guess, you don't have to double guess. You look at your app and then you are stress free, or you're very stressed, as the case may be. So that's the first level of connection. One older level of connected mobility was started by Ola and Uber, in which the access to vehicles was given through an app. So vehicles were connected to you, you were connected to vehicles. The next level of connectivity is when vehicle to vehicle conversation starts off. So when you're driving on a highway, the vehicle in front of you, the vehicle behind you is beaming some basic data to each other. So the chances of accidents are then almost completely eliminated. We've all seen those terrible videos in a fog. One accident, one car stops on the highway, 20 others come and pile up behind it. Nobody can do anything. So all of those things stop. Then there is ADAS, connected to the cloud, assisted driving. So this is not autonomous driving. The car is not driving itself, but the car is intelligent enough to advise you, to help you. So if it sees your attention wavering, then it will give you a warning, the steering wheel will start vibrating. If there is an emergency in front of you, it will immediately give a warning. And now government is working to create a regulation where automatic brake deployment is also going to be allowed. So those things can act in 1/1,000,000th of a second. There are people who in India, Indian companies in India, who have gathered 1 billion kilometers of driving data. So that means कि गाय भैंस भी सामने आ गई, स्कूटी लेके कोई जना सामने कूद गया, कोई पेडेस्ट्रियन कूद गया. All of those algorithms have started learning. So automated systems have started learning. So this is connection to the cloud so that autonomous decision making can take place. So many levels of connectivity. Okay, so we look quickly inside a four-wheel electric vehicle. Of course, you have a motor, and this is a small gearbox because. Thank you. Yeah. Now, motor needs electricity. Electricity comes from the battery, high voltage battery. But the battery has, motors are most of the time they run on some variant of AC. So you need an inverter to convert the DC into AC. There are many voltages. You need 12 volts, you need 5 volts, you need 700 volts. So you have a clever piece of electronics called a DC-DC converter. No transformers, circuits convert the electricity. You have chargers, onboard chargers, wireless chargers. You have a complete battery management system, a vehicle management system. CAN is a communication protocol that allows all the computers to talk to each other. Why do we have an electric compressor? What is that doing? What do we need a compressor in a car for? And in answering that question, you will understand the change that this industry is bringing about. Every car today has a compressor. क्या करता है वो? ठंडी हवा देता है, AC. और वो चलता कैसे है? सेल को कूल नहीं है, अभी तो शरीर को, हमारे दिमाग को ठंडा करने के लिए. सो और वो चलता कैसे है? फैन बेल्ट से, इंजन के पावर से चलता है. एक मैकेनिकल क्लच होता है, जब आप ऑन करते हैं टक से आवाज आती है, मैकेनिकल क्लच इंगेजेस एंड यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग द कंप्रेसर गिविंग यू कोल्ड एयर. बट अब इंजन तो है नहीं, तो आपको घर वाला स्प्लिट AC वाला इन्वर्टर AC अब गाड़ी में लगेगा. So the mechanical driven AC compressors are changing to inverter ACs. A very small change. When you press the brake, the power that powers the power brake and the power steering, hydraulics, was also coming from the engine. Now all of that is going to come from electric motors. Different types of motors, different voltages, different use cases. None of them are being manufactured today. All of them are going to be manufactured. The beauty is, in India today, almost 100% everything is imported. And the beauty is, in the next 5 years, 80% of it will be manufactured in India. And that is the massive excitement in this space today. अभी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड था, अब कहाँ गई सब कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी? On top of it all, with nuts and bolts, they simply tie the body with its chairs, with its steering, with its windows, with its gull doors, everything. This is a Tesla chassis. And that's what it looks like. It's called a skateboard because it looks like a skateboard. फर्श पे बैटरी लगी हुई हैं, पीछे मोटर है, आगे मोटर है, 4-wheel ड्राइव है, एंड ये बड़ी बड़ी चीज़ें, ये शॉक ऑब्जर्वर्स लगे हुए हैं, एंड यू आर गुड टू गो. सो अगेन इट हिट्स यू धक से, इतना सिंपल हो गया है. इंटरनल कंबशन कार इज अ वेरी सोफिस्टिकेटेड पीस ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग. क्रैंकशाफ्ट बनाने में, पिस्टन लाइनर, हेड, सब बनाने में बहुत बहुत लंबा काम है. ट्रांसमिशन सिस्टम, ड्राइव ट्रेन्स, all of those just vanished. and this is what it turns into. Oops. There is a different type of motor that powers electric vehicles. It's called, well, there are 8-9 different types of motors that can be used. But I just wanted to use one simple illustration to show that even a motor has electronics inside it, because as it says, BLDC is a brushless DC motor. Brush is a moving part. अच्छा, 1 मिनट का लेक्चर दे दे मोटर कैसे घूमती है. And my apologies for the engineers, please don't laugh at me, but I'll make it very, very simple. You see the small diagram here which shows these 3 coils. These coils are these coils, and these coils are electromagnets. When you give DC, they will make either north pole or south pole depending आपने सीधी बिजली दी है कि उल्टी बिजली दी है. और बीच में ये एक परमानेंट मैग्नेट है जो रोटर है, जो कि गोल गोल घूमता है. अभी इंटरनल कंबशन इंजन कैसे काम करता था? देयर वाज अ सिलेंडर जिसमें पिस्टन होता था, और पिस्टन के ऊपर देयर इज अ स्पार्क प्लग इन पेट्रोल कार्स. So when the piston approached the highest point, that's called the TDC, top dead center. At that point, the spark plug fires and the petrol explodes. It pushes the piston down. And when the crank forces the piston up again, when it reaches the top dead center, again the petrol fires and dhuk 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 chalne lagta hai. If the petrol spark plug fires before the piston has reached the top, you lose efficiency. If it fires after it has reached the top, you lose efficiency. अभी मोटर कैसे घूमती है? Same principle. You know that north and north pole magnets will repel and north and south will attract. So when the rotor is coming close to this will be south pole and this will be north. So this will be attracted towards this. And when this rotor is aligned, then this coil will change itself from north to south, and it will push this further down, and at this point this will turn into south and it will attract, and it will keep on rotating. So what is happening is that current in these coils is turning positive negative thousands of times in a second, and the current is hundreds of amperes. Such massive current is being switched on and off very, very quickly, and this is when the motor is rotating at full speed. Now you want to slow it down, तभी तो एक्सीलेटर से पैर हटाया, स्लो किया, तेज किया. So different technologies, pulse width modulation, all of those come in. तो इसको कंट्रोल करने की जो कंट्रोलर है वो बड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीज होती है, and therefore the controller is actually a very, very clever computer. And the secret in electric vehicle motors all lies in the controller. सो मोटर एक बार आपने डिज़ाइन कर ली, फिर आप मैन्युफैक्चर करते चले जाएंगे. बट आपको स्पोर्ट्स मोड में चलानी है मोटर, आपको इकोनॉमी मोड में चलानी है मोटर, आपको हिल ड्राइविंग के लिए करनी है, आपको कार्गो के लिए करनी है, आपको सस्ती करनी है, आपको महंगी करनी है, सब कुछ कंट्रोलर से जादू चलेगा. एंड कंट्रोलर इज ऑल अबाउट सॉफ्टवेयर, एंड इंडिया इज अ नेशन ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर. But it takes 3-4 years of intense effort to make a very good controller. Because फिर से Fiat और Ambassador नहीं बना रहे हैं कि हफ्ते में एक बार वो वर्कशॉप में बैठी हुई है. अभी तो 15-20-50 हज़ार किलोमीटर में भी वर्कशॉप नहीं जानी चाहिए, और ड्राइवर को हमेशा एक्साइटमेंट की फीलिंग होनी चाहिए. सो द लाइफ, द होल कार की जान जो है, 2 व्हीलर की जान, वो कंट्रोलर में है. इंडिया डज नॉट नो हाउ टू मेक कंट्रोलर्स टुडे. There are 3-4 companies which are working very hard on controllers. They claim to make controllers, but we do not know how to make controllers in India today. Inside a battery pack are lots and lots of cells. These blue things are individual cells. They are connected in series. So ये 4S 6P लिखा है, तो 4 सेल सीरीज में है और पैरेलल 1 2 3 4 5 6 रोज जुड़ी हुई हैं. ये पीसीबी में बैटरी मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम होता है. इसके अंदर हीट एक्सचेंज कूलिंग सिस्टम्स होंगे, बिकॉज बैटरीज बिकम वेरी हॉट, यू डोंट वांट देम टू कैच फायर. सो ऑल ऑफ दैट गेट्स पैक्ड इनटू वन नीट एंड टाइडी बॉक्स, एंड this is what it starts to look like. Here is the circuit, and here are the cells, and this is the body, and this is the cooling fins that will keep the battery cool. हवा लगती रहेगी और वो ठंडी होती रहेगी. And inside a cell is something that looks like this. You have aluminum, you have copper. This black thing, NCA, this is the heart and soul of your lithium ion battery. It's actually the lithium, nickel, cobalt, aluminum alloy which makes the cathode. It's called cathode active. And this chemistry is a secret sauce that companies do not divulge. कोका-कोला का फॉर्मूला है ये. उस पे आपकी चार्जिंग, डिस्चार्जिंग, ठंडा, गरम, आग लगना, नहीं लगना, सब इस काली चीज़ पे डिटरमिन्ड है. बिल्कुल मसाला होता है, मसाले को कोट किया जाता है. But other than this black thing, there is aluminum, there is copper, there is a separator, and there is electrolyte. The separator is something like your reverse osmosis plant, RO plant at home, the membrane, which allows some things to go across and some things not to go across. So positive ions will go, negative ions will not go. So उस तरह से इसमें डिज़ाइन किया जाता है. None of these things are made in India. I wanted to take a pause here to again explain the excitement and the sheer size of the opportunity. आज अगर आप गूगल करिए lithium ion battery manufacturers in India, you will find at least perhaps 1000 companies. तो you will say problem क्या है? इंडिया में तो बैटरी बन रही है, but they are importing the cells and like mistris, like mechanics, they are soldering the cells together, making a battery, buying a battery management system and creating the complete battery. What about the cell? Now I am saying we will never have the lithium and the cobalt to make this black masala. Don't worry about it. Forget that. We are sitting in one of the two pharma hubs of India. Organic chemistry we understand beautifully. The electrolyte is an organic solvent. It is completely imported. The separator is a semi-permeable membrane. We know how to make membranes. अटीरा बगल में बैठ के डिज़ाइन कर देगा सोते सोते. We know how to make those. The casing, the connectors, the electrodes, the copper, the aluminum of this grade, all of that can be and should be made in India. So that जब एक्साइड लेक्लांच अपनी बैटरी लगा रहा है, एक सेल बनाने की फैक्ट्री लगा रहा है अहमदाबाद में, they can simply buy the electrolyte from us, they can buy the separators from us. So we don't care who makes the batteries. We don't care who gives the battery guarantee for 3 years, 6 years. You buy the electrolyte from us, you buy the separator from us, you buy the anode from us. Scope endless है. ये खुद कितनी बड़ी opportunity है ये एक आध slides में आगे बताएंगे. I hope I am not going too fast. Okay. Any questions at this stage about batteries, cells? No. They can, but अभी तक डिमांड उतनी नहीं थी and we are not a forward looking nation. Remember 3 महीने की प्लानिंग साइकिल होती है, तो जब डिमांड आ जाएगी तो बना देंगे. अभी जल्दी क्या है, तब तक फॉरेनर्स आके इस्टेब्लिश हो जाएंगे. And that is my worry, sir. They're terrible for the environment. So policy is one thing, technology is the other. Globally, the technology to recover lithium and cobalt are still evolving because they consume too much energy to recover. It's not easy. So I think that problem still has not yet been completely solved. There's enormous amount of research going into it. But the policy I think is should be in place. I'm not personally aware of.
Don't recover, but placing it safely.
Yes.
Safety part.
Yes. Otherwise it will go into the water table and lithium is terrible for the human body. Terrible for the human body. हाँ या ना? थोड़ा जोर से.
I just want to ask that the controller is made of PCB, right?
Yeah.
Practically, we are running low on PCB controller in PCB from which material was made. In electric vehicles, mostly all the parts are run by PCB controllers. How are we going to short that?
So It's called embedded systems, microelectronics embedded systems. And in Gandhinagar, you have 2-3 companies that make world-class PCBs and complete circuits. आप डिज़ाइन करिए वो बना देंगे आपके लिए. दिल्ली में बहुत सारे हैं. Ah. The substrate of the PCB. I am sorry, I really don't know the answer to that one. You got me there. सेमीकंडक्टर्स तो पीसीबी के ऊपर होते हैं. फिनोलिक होता था, बेकलाइट पहले यूज होता था, फिर पेपर फिनॉल यूज होने लगा, फिर फाइबर ग्लास यूज होने लगा. ईवीज में कौन सा यूज होता है हमें नहीं मालूम है. आई नो देयर आर 6-7 वैरायटीज, बट कौन सा यूज होता है आई रियली डोंट नो. शांतनु, एनी आइडिया? There you go. So are electric vehicles good for the environment or not? Yes, that's why everybody is buying them. How good? Very good? Little good? There is a ratio that I want everybody to understand very, very simply and very, very clearly. It's called the well to wheel ratio. Well is the oil well. बॉम्बे हाई से जो तेल निकलता है, क्रूड ऑयल, वहां से लेके आपके व्हील पे जो टॉर्क मिलता है, जो पावर मिलता है, उसको वेल टू व्हील कहते हैं. तो अगर 1 किलोवाट एनर्जी के बराबर आपने वेल से निकाला तो कितना व्हील ने जमीन में ट्रांसमिट किया. दैट इज द प्योरेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ एफिशिएंसी इन विच यू कैन कंपेयर एनी व्हीकल एब्सोल्युटली. इट हैज 2 पार्ट्स, well to the tank, your fuel tank, and how efficient your vehicle is, which is tank to the wheel. Right? Simple so far? And this is a small pictorial depiction. You have oil wells, you have transportation, then you have refineries. With those refineries, then you can take it to a fuel tank through transmission, or you can burn it to make electricity and take the electricity to your power plant here. Or you can make with the electricity, you make hydrogen. With hydrogen, you power your fuel cell. Hydrogen cars are also electric vehicles. They are not battery electric vehicle, they are fuel cell electric vehicles. The hydrogen fuel cell makes electricity. With the electricity, your electric motor runs like a normal electric car. It's a simple electric car. Instead of a battery, you have a hydrogen fuel cell and a pressurized tank at 350 atmospheres. Here is a comparison between fossil fuel, hydrogen fuel and battery electric vehicles on the pollution levels. अब आप फर्क देख लीजिए. ये पेट्रोल डीजल, ये नेचुरल गैस, ये एथनॉल, ये हाइड्रोजन फ्यूल सेल और ये बैटरी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल. So this seems to indicate that electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles are very, very clean, very, very good. Right? Let the data show you what the reality is. Here is a data-based wheel to well efficiency of fossil fuel. Crude oil you extract, you convert into diesel, you transport, you put it into the car, the diesel engine gives its own efficiency of 40-42%. Total you get 25 to 37% efficiency in a diesel car. In a gas car you get 12 to 22% efficiency only. A, because in compression you lose a lot of energy, and then the efficiency of the car itself is only 14 to 26, whereas diesel is 28 to 42% efficient. So internal combustion engine, and petrol is somewhere in the middle, is between 12 to 35-37% overall efficiency. Last chance, electric vehicle की कितनी होगी? इससे दुगनी होगी? Double this at least? It is exactly the same. 12% to 31%. Why? Because the electricity we are using is very dirty. Coal you burn, when you burn coal, efficiency losses, coal thermal power plants are only 30% efficient. The most efficient is natural gas, which gives you 13 to 31% efficiency. Crude oil will give you about 12 to 25% efficiency. So in the damage that an electric vehicle causes to the environment, it is the same as an internal combustion vehicle, as long as the electricity generated is from coal or oil. And most of India's electricity comes from coal. And it's going to come from coal for the longest period in time. However, the story changes completely when you change to renewable energy power. It completely changes, and this is the magic that happens. 70% efficiency. So therefore, at least 2 times cleaner than anything else, whether it's a battery vehicle or whether it's a fuel cell vehicle. So it's important to understand, to take a informed decision. Jaju Saab's buy or not to buy decision. So if in your heart it was कि भाई हमें पर्यावरण के लिए, धरती माता के लिए कुछ करना है, तो perhaps शायद आप कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं. अगर आपको एक seemingly emission कम धुआं नहीं निकालती है गाड़ी और सस्ती भी है चलाने में, खरीदने में महंगी है, चलाने में बहुत मजा आता है, by all means you should buy. The technology is stable, the range is stable. बैटरी प्राइसेस बीच में बहुत बढ़ गए थे, अब धीरे धीरे कम हो रहे हैं. कुछ कम हुए आपकी बैटरी के दाम रघुवीर जी? थोड़ा रिडक्शन शुरू हुआ. ही मैन्युफैक्चर्स इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स, इलेक्ट्रिक 2-wheelers, कार्गो बाइक्स, एंड आई एम अ प्राउड ओनर ऑफ वन ऑफ देम. हम चलाते हैं उसको. फाइनली 5 more minutes and then I'll close. This word is not battery, this is energy storage. Energy storage, over the next 40 years, fossil fuels need to be replaced, and energy storage has a critical role to play in it. Some clever ways, and one of the most efficient ways of storing energy. How do you store energy? Energy की life तो होती नहीं है, आपने generate करी या use करी है या खत्म हो गई. So supposing in the daytime you have sun shining, you have a lot of solar energy. What do you do with it? You can charge batteries, of course, simplest. But better than that is if you take a lot of water down below and pump it up to a height. So now you have potential energy stored. And when you want, you release the water, turbine spins, generates electricity. Very low cost, very highly efficient. But even better than that is compressed air. You take huge compressors, you compress air. When you have electricity, you compress. And when you need energy, with the compressed air, you drive a turbine, you get energy. That is the cleanest and most efficient. Of course, batteries हैं, सब कुछ चीजें हैं. But what is the size of this opportunity? इसको हम जब पढ़ते हैं तो हमें डर लगता है, because the number is so big. Globally, this presents a 400 billion per annum opportunity for the next 20 years. Every year, almost $400 billion will be invested in this space. हम लोग 2 साल 3 साल बाद देखेंगे, कंपनियां खड़ी हो गई, कंपनियां सक्सेसफुल हो गई, बड़ी बड़ी हो गई. बट इंडिया इज अ नेशन दैट रिक्वायर्स सो मेनी सॉल्यूशंस. इसी में हाइड्रोजन भी आता है, इसी में अमोनिया भी आता है, इसी में मेथनॉल भी आता है, इसी में लिथियम आयन भी आता है, इसी में सोडियम आयन भी आता है, इसी में लेड एसिड बैटरी भी आती है. और हर बैटरी का रोल है, एवरी बैटरी हैज इट्स ओन रोल टू प्ले. और इसी में पम्प्ड हाइड्रो, कंप्रेस्ड एयर, थर्मल, all kinds of storage are also in this. A small little example is, anybody own an electric car here? So Tata Nexon is one of the most popular EVs in the country. It has a 30 kilowatt battery pack in it. When you fast charge it, it charges at roughly 3 times that speed. So it will take about 60 kilowatts. What happens when 10 of those cars are charging together in your housing society? They are consuming almost half a megawatt of energy. Your housing society does not have the capacity to deliver half megawatt. सब ट्रांसफार्मर से फ्यूज उड़ जाएगा, सबकी बत्ती चली जाएगी. अब आपने तो बैटरी लगाई चार्ज, बैटरी चार्ज फास्ट चार्जर में लगा दिया, आपको थोड़ी नहीं मालूम है कि आपसे पहले 9 लोग लगा चुके हैं। आपने तो कहा अरे बॉस मैंने तो प्लग इन किया और बूम सबकी बत्ती चली गई। इट्स नॉट अ जोक। द ग्रिड्स वर नॉट डिजाइन्ड फॉर दिस काइंड ऑफ पीक लोडिंग, दे वर नॉट डिजाइन फॉर दिस, जरूरत ही नहीं थी, डिजाइन नहीं किया। अब जब तक ग्रिड नहीं री इन्वेंट होता है तब तक क्या सोल्यूशन है? स्टेशनरी एनर्जी स्टोरेज। हाईवे के किनारे, हाउसिंग सोसाइटीज में आपने लो कॉस्ट एनर्जी स्टोरेज लगा दिया, so that when people fast charge it comes from the energy storage, not from the grid. और दिन भर वो ग्रिड से लेके अपने आप को चार्ज करता रहता है, फास्ट चार्ज के लिए आपको ये डिलीवर कर देता है। एंड देयरफॉर दिस इज सच अ फिनोमिनल अपॉर्चुनिटी। Summing up, electric vehicles were simply a catalyst. Climate change ने डंडा मारा, electric vehicles ने catalyst का काम किया। They created high efficiency motors. Motors are 200 years old. उसकी efficiency पे किसी ने ध्यान दिया ही नहीं था, बिजली बहुत थी, चल रहा था सब कुछ। High efficiency motors have started coming in. Better batteries have started coming in. Better grid connected energy storage devices have come in. Better cloud connected sensor driven data analytics has come in. Industry 4.0 सब कुछ यहीं से आ रहा है। Better vision processing systems for autonomous driving. New business models for shared and connected mobility. इतनी सारी चीजें इस एक इंडस्ट्री ने दी और बहुत सारी। I've only named the tip of the iceberg. Which brings me to the close of what I had to say. Thank you so much for your patience. Yes, sir.
All right. It's very obvious from the amount of questions that we got how good the talk was. It really excited everybody to ask and satisfy their inquisitiveness. That's what it was. But Anupam, I must say, to summarize, that your talk was very, very educative, extremely educative for a number of reasons, I'll give you illustrations, For example, you began by saying that it's the climate change because of which people are talking about it. But when we came to know that EVs help only in pollution control, but हमारी electricity इतनी गंदी है कि that ratio is so poor actually, and we are otherwise not helping much in that part of it. I wasn't aware of that. Of course, what that means is that we must move to solar energy, and energy should be much more green than the way it is in India actually, That is one. Also, your way you answered the question about computing the life of the battery. Somebody had asked you, and it was very illustrative, very educative. At the end, what you talked about energy storage and amount of humongous opportunity that it offers for several years, $400 billion per year kind of thing actually. Apart from that, I will also add here that your talk was also very comprehensive. It's not that you just focused on one part. The talk was highly comprehensive, providing us complete architecture of how the EV is, showing that Tesla dashboard and then other slides. In fact, your slides are also very, very well done, very illustrative slides actually, I would say that. What impressed me was also you highlighting that there are tremendous opportunities for entrepreneurship. It's a greenfield industry, and so much scope is there, and everybody can start that. But substantiated by the fact that the amount of opportunity which component makers have is higher than the people who are selling cars. They are much lesser. It is less, and those who will make components, there the margins are much higher and much larger opportunity. So therefore, it is very educative. Tempts the small people to also get into this technology and see where they can contribute actually. So the essence of that was you illustrated that it's a componentized kind of a technology, and that reminds me of my computing days. I've been in computers for last 50 years or so. So I used IBM computers and 65, 70, 75. The whole technology was proprietary technology. Computers would come from IBM, software would come from IBM, applications would come from IBM, and you couldn't do anything actually. You are stuck into it once you get into that. And then came the days of PCs, and the PC architecture, the way it came up in 90s, 95, was completely componentized. Today's PC is like Intel processor, Hyundai memory, or hard disk of somebody else, or Logitech keyboard, or Sony's monitor, and you could assemble. So the way I see this technology is going to happen is also similar. Maybe after 8-10 years, componentized car sort of, the people who build a car based on, whose motor you want it or whose controller you want it, and then put it all together. And once it's componentized, one thing that I've seen why computing technology has done so well is because it is componentized. For example, you look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA makes gaming card which are the best in the world, better than what IBM makes actually. So once any surrogate technology is componentized, the innovation takes place, people focus just on that part of it and make it better and better. And therefore the entire product then really shines out and becomes even better. So I have a lot of hope that this one part that the whole thing has got componentized is going to lead to better and better assembled or otherwise made up products, the way it has happened in computing technology. So it's going to be like an open architecture kind of technology that's going to become, will take time of course, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and open source software related to controllers, they're talking to each other. What, by the way, last point I want to make, also impressed me is cars talking to each other and how it can help us to avoid accidents and all that. And all that is possible now, we can see all of that actually. So very nice of you to put all this together and educate all of us. Give a big round of applause for him. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Good evening. Good night, everybody.